Why not?
What is that? You're gonna pay me for the money?
Okay, so let's start. And the first question that I would like to ask you is, how do you remember your first encounter with video games?
Oh, my first encounter with video games. I'm trying to. It was in the arcades. I was at a summer camp of all places, and it was in the lodge. And there was this game. I think it was called not Race in Space or Space Race. It was like these two spaceships going up a field of asteroids crossing, and I was a little kid, and I was like, "What's happening? This is crazy!" And I just remember those first experiences of Space Invaders and Space Panic. And the other one was Night Driver. I just remember playing those in the arcades. And then my dad bringing home an Odyssey. The Odyssey 1 was the first video game system.
The Magnavox Odyssey.
Yeah, the Magnavox Odyssey. And I just was always just entranced by them. I don't know why. They just seemed so magical. Just like you controlling something on a TV screen just always seemed, like something, I don't know, like a little magic little world.
Yeah. Which video game do you remember playing the most? The one that has excited you the most playing?
In all of my life?
Yes. No. Well, one that you have more fond memories playing that video.
God, there's so many at different times. When I was younger, I loved the Savage Island, like the text adventures, Mm-hmm. And then as I got older, going into, nothing like. I just remember the first time I played Super Mario 64. It was the first time I really found myself in a 3D immersive world that I just felt like I was really swimming in a 3D world. And you take that stuff for granted now in 3D games because they're so. But that first time that happened, I was like, I'm really in this castle. This is really crazy. And the games like that, games like Katamari Damacy are just so crazy. You feel like when I was talking about it in my talk about being when you're in a Gaudi in a building, you just feel like you're inside the mind of just one insane imagination. And then when you're in Katamari Damacy, it's the same way. You feel like you're inside this crazy person's mind, but it's great.
Okay. What does it have the classic point-and-click adventures genre that still interests so many people, and is one of the reasons that of the success of the Broken Age Kickstarter?
I think adventure games, they let people explore gameplay at their own pace. I think that's one of the critical things about them. Besides the fact that they had some of the best stories and the best, the characters of games, but the fact that the game, you don't have to worry about being shot in the head when you do things wrong. You just, for the most part, you're just kind of sitting there and you're doing a lot of thinking while you're playing the game, and you're bringing your own knowledge of the world into the puzzle solving process. And there's really no other games that are like that. And so much video games are adventure games are so much about the world outside. There's so much about the world outside of the scope of usual video games. Like video games are very set topics they're allowed to cover, very set worlds you're allowed to go to, not adventure games.
Let me show you something. These pictures are from your timeline, Twitter timeline. You retweeted it just a couple of days ago. It's Manny Calafranco from Green Fandango, and
Glottis.
And Glottis, exactly.
I don't know what crazy person made those, but they're great.
Yeah, and for example, Tentacles from Day of Tentacle. They're very popular characters today. You see it on shirts. People make dolls of Tentacles, and I have to show this. This is Carnival 2 years ago. This is my family.
Oh, look at that! So you've got three-headed monkey baby.
Yeah, you have a three-headed monkey.
Now, can you feed a banana to the one on the left and have the right chew it up? And you're LeChuck.
And my question related to that is, what do you feel when you see that kind of demonstration, characters that you created or helped to develop that are still important, fondly remembered and loved by people thanks to your games?
That's the most rewarding part about it. Like you don't even realize it's happening. We didn't in the 90s. We didn't know the games were reaching people like that because there wasn't any feedback mechanism like we have now with the internet. So we would just make the games and just cross our fingers and read reviews and just hope that people were liking them. And maybe we get some physical letters in the mail. Like rarely would someone take up the energy to actually write something, but some kids would draw pictures and we're like, that's so nice, that's so cool. And now you just get on the internet, you just see fan art like that and crazy things like that parade and that family of yours. It's awesome. I can't think of a higher compliment.
when you have lots of bakers, as in Broken Edge, following the development of the game, having great expectations, writing comments and making petitions in forums or whatever, is this a greater kind of pressure than when you only have to cope with a single publisher?
No, because those are people I was worried about already. You know, whenever you're making a game, you care about the people who are going to play it, and you're going to want your fans to like it, and you're going to want the players to have a good time. So I was already thinking about those people. Now I didn't have to worry about someone else who's not a player, but someone who's trying to guess what people like and trying to, you know, use their marketing survey to guess what people like, and you're worried about their investment and worried about their money, and you know, usually have to spend a lot of days, a lot of meetings, making them feel better about how they're not going to lose their money. Those meetings were all gone, so I basically had like 40% of my time back, and I just had to talk to the backers, who were people I wanted to please anyway.
Talking about Broken Age, a lot of people has say that it resembles a lot in its graphical look to a children story. And you have children. How old are they?
6. She's 6. 6-year-old daughter.
Do you think that being a father has affected the way that you design games, or you think about the games that you like to do? Because being a father myself, it has affected the way I play games, because I like to play them with my children. My older daughter has to play with me Zelda or Fable. He likes to point things that I have to do. And I play games different now that I'm a father.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched kids play games before I had one of my own, and I would think about that. I got a letter from someone who was telling me how much they liked playing Psychonauts with his son. And I was thinking about, at the time I was making Brutal Legend, I knew it was going to be really violent and really, you know, have a lot of swear words in it. I was like, how's this guy going to like playing this with his little kid? And then that's why the game has a settable, like a gore filter. You can turn off all the blood if you want, and you can turn off decapitation and dismemberment, and you can bleep all the swear words if you want, and it happens in the introduction of this thing. And that all happens because of this one letter from this dad who I knew he was going to play with his kids, so I wanted to have that be an option. But then also playing with my daughter, it definitely, I'm aware of the things she can handle and can't handle, and makes you realize how hard it is when games don't have voice, you know, and they have to read, you know. But more specifically, I mean, just it never occurred to me how often games don't have female characters to play, and it seems like such an obvious thing. But when she goes to pick her character and she can't find a girl to pick, I realize I'm really in touch now with how that makes her feel, and how valuable it is now. Like the new Mario game, she can play as Princess Peach, and for the first time, and that was a huge thing. And those little things that I hadn't thought of before, but now I think of all the time.
And this is my last question to give my partners the exchange. Has Double Fine found his place in the video game ecosystem with Steam and crowdfunding, or you doesn't discard going back to more traditional funding and distribution methods?
I mean, I think a lot of that stuff has changed forever. I think that crowdfunding is here to stay, and it's a definite option that we will always want to be in our arsenal of things to use. But I think the thing that we've really done with Double Fine is made it an agile company, a company that has multiple games going on and multiple games trying different things. Like one's trying early access, one's trying free to play, one's trying mobile. We can get in all these different markets and try them out, and not really bet everything on one project like we used to. And so in that way, that's allowed us to stay alive, even though the market is such a changing, crazy thing from one year to the next. You never would have known that the dominant thing was going to be one thing or the other this year, but but here it is, and we're still alive.
Okay, perfect.
Well, thank you. A few questions, because we know that you are a little bit tired today. And first, we want to know, what's your opinion about game industry nowadays?
The game industry nowadays, I feel, is a lot more healthy than it was just a few years ago, because I think the major platform holders are now acknowledging and catering to the needs of independent developers. They're allowing independent developers to self-publish on the consoles, and that's a big change from the last round of consoles. And things like crowdfunding are allowing people to take down one of the last barriers, which is funding to making a game. And so I think we've already had digital distribution change the world of games for taking down other barriers. So now I think there's a lot of games, a lot of voices being heard that weren't being heard before. And now the next challenge, I think, is making it so the good games all rise to the top. Discoverability is what people talk about a lot. That there's so many barriers have been taken down. Now it's almost so easy to make a game that the next problem is like, just what do you do when there's too many? what do you do when there's too many games to choose from? How do you know what the good ones are, and what's the process for if you launch your game? How do you not just have it be one of a zillion games that came out that year, but how do you have it rise to the top? And that's, I think, the next big challenge for game makers.
Nice. And which games are you playing now? You're telling that there are a lot of many games, but what are you playing now?
See, I mean, honestly, right now, the last thing I was playing was Child of Light and Super Time Force and Transistor. The last one I was playing. I'm still playing through Link Between Worlds on my DS. This Plane Flight will help a lot with that. And then on PC, I've been meaning to get back to Kentucky Route Zero. I haven't finished the latest chapter of that. And you've been playing a lot of Scapegoat too, because we were presenting that from part of our Double Fine Presents process. And so, that's what I'm playing now.
Wow. Well, a few days ago, in the last E3, we know the news that Sony presents Grim Fandango for PS4 and PS Vita. Maybe the next will be Day of the Tentacle. What do you think about this movement? well, we want to know it.
Well, we just want to take this first step and get one of them. You want to see how everyone wants to see how this does. Is there going to be a new market for it, or are people going to play them that haven't played them before, or even is everyone who played it before going to want to play it a second time? I hope so, and I think so, and I think if that's successful, it'll make everyone want to talk about what else we could do, but we don't know right now.
Okay, well, that was the last question, and maybe the last we want, if you can, it's finally, if you can just send a greeting for our audience. I don't know if you can do it, but...
Yeah. Wait, so who are we talking to?
Well, we are talking with 1UPRadioTeam. 1UPRadioTeam.
What's the second thing you're saying?
1UPRadioTeam, you can see it. Well, then we have a gift for you.
Oh, thank you.
That's
it.
That's
Hi, this is Tim Schafer, and you're listening to 1UPRadioTeam.com. And thank you for the money.
Thank you too.
Ew, what's wrong with this one?
Yeah.
Dirty, get your dirty money out of here.